Hi, this is Bill. On this video, we'll be continuing the second part of the series about dashboards and reports in ServiceNow. So this is the Zurich version, and previously we have finished in defining a data source. And eventually, let us continue as we complete this dashboard and report lesson, the Zurich version. And right now, to be able to come back, you need to navigate to platform analytics and the dashboards. Now, as we search for the dashboard that we created, so we have named it Incident Performance Analytics. And as we drill down, we finish up on configuring the data source. So let us check our work by moving to the triple dots or the context menu of the data source. So let's click Edit and let's make sure that the table is correct, the incident, and let's add a predefined filter. Right now let's choose incidents.close and let's keep active as false at the moment. So you could add more filters if you want to. So it's just like the filters that you've learned on your fundamentals of system administration inside ServiceNow. If you haven't done so, you can come back to my system administration course that you'll find at the end of the screen. And as you familiarize with the filters, you are basically making sure that you are representing the correct data. And let's have another filter and let's use reassignment count. And every reassignment is basically greater than 2. And once the query will run, it will basically retrieve the records that is appropriate or implementing this filters, which is incidents closed, active is to false, and reassignment count is greater than 2. And as you preview these records, you can basically verify the integrity and correctness of this data. And another way of doing it, you can basically open an incident record inside incidents.open, and you can also reapply this filters and see if they basically match. So that's one of the key techniques that you can utilize. And right now, it's showing 100 records on the lower left. So you can also re-verify if it also shows 100 records. So the more tests that you do, the more confident that your implementation is basically functional. So as you apply quality checks, it becomes second to you that ensuring that your work is verified even from yourself to ensure correctness before presentation of your reports and dashboards. So the quality of your work is very important because the personas who's learning or is going to be consuming the reports and dashboards are normally senior leaders or managers or executive level. So your numbers, your work is reflects the quality. So I fully recommend that to take pride of what you do. And let us apply. And as we apply this, now it will be implemented to our source record. And now let us make sure that it is saved. So eventually it is already saved. So let us make sure that we have done it correctly. Let us go back and do an edit. And as we basically edit, so we'll see that there's no record showing in my side. So right now I would basically have more sense. Probably let's change it to incident.resolve and see if something comes out. So the important thing is there is something coming out from your data to ensure that your dashboard will make sense. But the essence of these filters is to ensure the correctness of your data representation. So let us remove the filters for now and let's see. So now it makes more sense. I have 35 records and now I will apply this filter and you will see that there's something now been saved. And let us add more quality by, let's say, remove this filter out and run it. And I think we have more records and now I'll click apply. Then we have more data inside. So since this is an exercise that will help you familiarize on how the dashboard and reports work, so let's keep the ball rolling and let us save this configuration that we have initially created. Now, as we continue to the next step, we will be configuring the metric aggregation. So the metric represents the calculation applied to a specific data set. And the data set that we have is the data source that we have basically created from the incident table. And this determines how the records are measured, such as counting entries, averaging values, or summing total to produce the result displayed inside the visualization. So the metric tile defaults to an aggregation, what you see now on this configuration panel. So let us click the context menu and you will see that you have multiple selection of an aggregation. So aggregation is quite famous in terms of reports and dashboards. So as you Google aggregates, so it will show these types of objects. So it's calculating the count, the sum, where sum is summing the values of a specific field, and the average is calculating the average of a field. And it's self-explanatory if you are familiar with statistical concepts. So this is what it does. It's a representation of a data set. And are you going to sum it up? Are you going to average it? And so on. So let us choose average and let's name it as assignment time. And let's close it into brackets, which is average. So this will basically signify that we're averaging the assignment time. Now, the naming convention is a more friendly description to make it more understandable from a business perspective. And we modified the metric by selecting the edit from the context menu, which opens a metric configuration panel. Then the aggregation method is updated to average using the drop-down selection. Then finally, we going to click apply to implement this sort of setting. So right now we have the ability to apply it to different fields inside the incident table. And a quick recap before we do that is we are pertaining to the custom fields that we have done earlier. And eventually we did not do any custom fields, but the association of the custom condition as you represent the records, you are now adding a metric on top of that process. And as we re-implement on what we have created, right now we can keep it as it is and do apply, and you will see the changes. So you will see the record has been configured in alignment to the configurational changes that we have applied. So let us make sure that our work has been saved. And now that you have defined the metrics, we will move forward on configuring the visualization and display settings. And there are many configurations options available across different visualization types. And I'll give you more hands-on labs that you can practice on top of the demo and learning that you're getting on this video. So you will be able to build yourself several commonly used visualizations to become familiar with this setting. So everything is all about familiarity. You do it one time, twice, 10 times, and you get to master each configuration. It requires practice. And here are a few foundational settings to begin with. Header and border settings. You can show the header, as you can see the changes, and you can also share the separator. So you can see on the left that the separator is the line over there. And as you switch it off and on, you will see the changes and showing the header as well. And we can change this to a different type of visualization into a line, and you will see the implementation of the changes that you did. So let us return it back to horizontal to make sure that our changes is making sense. And you could add a name to the chart title, and let us put incidents closed per day, which is basically on what you are representing. So it's easy to understand to the consumers of your report as they read it and digest the report they're trying to represent. Now let's make it bigger for better. And now let us scroll down to, make sure that our work is being saved. And let us scroll down and move to data update. So when the follow filters option is enabled, the visualization automatically applies any filters configured at the page level. So this means that the chart or metric dynamically updates based on what you have configured as a filter selected in the workspace. That ensures your consistency across all components on the page. So you can uncheck and check and you will find the behavior. And while the show filter icon, this setting displays a filter on the vision along with an indicator showing how many filters are currently affecting your data. It basically provides transparency so your end users can immediately see that the results you're trying to represent are being refined by active filters. And the live refresh rate that you see here at the bottom of the two checkboxes, this displays when the data is being refreshed upon return to the page. So basically, we are representing X number of minutes, which is 5, for example. So the question here is like, how real time should the report be? So this is a decision that you need to ask your client because it will require database calls, network calls that will also impact your performance of the dashboard. And let us now save the changes and exit editing mode, and you will see this is how our report and dashboard looks like at this stage. Now, the behavior of this dashboard basically changes on depends on how you and I like you to play around and make mistakes and see how it works if you change the metric and change the visualization type into other aspects because we cannot cover each and every one of them. And your laboratories or your learning time, this is the best way to get fully familiar. And if you're going to be a dashboard developer, then it makes sense for you to master each and every configuration which is in here. So I can share with you the strategies and where to start with, but at the end of the day, you have to drill down and deep dive to ensure you're really good at something and showcase your skill set in terms of dashboard and reporting. And now let us move to presentation and let's make sure that we have minimized the other configuration to maximize viewing. And as we drill down to presentation and move to display settings, so depending on the type report, you can basically show the data on your table and eventually this representation doesn't give any. And let us play around and change this to line representation and that the metric has changed in response to this type of object. So each visualization type has its own attributes and you get to see that the display settings also will change. So I'd like you to take notice of that. Certain behavior is meant for certain attributes. So it's a series of combination that you can utilize in representing your report. And let us save this changes to make sure our work has been saved. And let us try another visualization, which is a single score, and that the representation has now changed. So let us save it and let's look at the display setting and let's say this is size small. And if you like to add an icon or a fill, so you can also basically implement this. So let's return it to make it large and the change of the representation also have changed. So now let's just move to horizontal bar. And as the metrics and group by has been loaded, as you can see the behavior, right? So it goes into a hierarchy and do its necessary filters since it's calling the records from the database. And if you find value to this demo, please don't forget to like and subscribe and join as a member to further support videos like this. And this is the end of part 2 of the Dashboard Reports Zurich version series, and I'll see you on the next video.